Hello. Hello, Tim. Hello, Tim.
Hey, Paul, how are you?
Hi. Good. How are you? Cannot hear you.
Sorry, I'm late.
No, you're fine. Did you forget about us or you're just late normal?
No, I was late. I had a late dinner last night and then I got a late start this morning.
Oh, no problem. You'll
Yeah.
be. Oh, I'm not. Thank God. Like I don't really have like a set appointment right after you. So I'm
Mhm.
cool. So like take your time. Let me know when you're ready. Like
Okay.
not a big deal. Not a problem at all. And you also many times had to wait for me with my rush morning. So more than fair.
Yeah.
How have you been? How's everything?
Good. How about you?
Good, very good. Busy and but good. Well, and good because it's not bud, doesn't cancel, and good. Um,
How do you think the meeting was yesterday?
huh?
How do you think the meeting was yesterday?
I think actually it was really good. When I had the meeting with Mario at first, before that meeting, he had those concerns that he brought up, in the meeting, and I told him that we were going to maintain that first meeting to make sure that we are all on board and knowing, like, to me, it's very important once we start doing any kind of work that there is, that we build like the ground for it,
Hmm.
make sure that there is a foundation, and then moving forward, this is our conduct, and not only because it brings awareness to our mind, but because energetically we do create uh like a link between everybody that is in that call, which is a reminder, energetic reminder every time we meet that this is normally the conduct that we take, that we perform. So that's why I wanted to say all those things first to make sure that I speak to your mind, your subconscious, and the energy field. So I have to really create that ground. Um, but he had explained that there are a few concerns. There are other concerns that I didn't bring up, he didn't bring up, and I'm not gonna bring up until he brings up. And I told him it's a 1 hour meeting, Mario. It's not like a whole week of meeting that we could just discuss everything. Um, but I said let's start with the beginning, with the basic stuff, with foundations and things like that. So then we could address anything else. But then, of course, he said that he was going to communicate he needed help for the thing, so he did. And you guys having your meeting today, right?
Yeah.
About that.
I mean, y'all mentioned concerns. I didn't feel like anyone brought up the concerns. So I didn't know.
No, it's he did. Remember that
Okay.
he was the one who was like, I want to address this, that he said about the communication or the tasks being done, and then having to have like um a structure that he could see. And so there were a few things that he wanted to, no, the concerns he has, none of it is major. It's all
Mhm.
like little things that he just wants to make sure, because he's like, I want to be able to step away from the company in like a couple years or something, and have the company not need me, like, and I, not that the company needs, but it's like, I don't want to feel that I have to be there. It's how he feels about it. So he needs to start to feel good about everybody that is playing, so he could start kind of taking his attention to other places more, and I think that he's trying to create that. And there are like little things that he wants to make sure it's in place and that it's running smoothly and all of that before he even thinks about that possibility, So, and I think that that's what um, he was trying to do in that meeting, to kind of create this support for the moment that comes. Simone had texted me the day before, a text like about things that she wanted to discuss and she is concerned about. I didn't address them specifically, that there is no need. It was because it is a general need of any company. Some of the things she specifically told about her experience, but I put it in a general context to bring up the values and the core behaviors and all of that within the company. You know, so I brought up into a general context, because as I said, like, I'm not going to mention this is a problem, this person brought this, you know, it's not how I work. I like to bring into the, you know, I'm not going to like be throwing people under the bus, you know, like, and being like, oh, she complained, he said, you know, it's going to be always in the context of general stuff. So be still addressed and nobody has to be pointed out. But I didn't ask her. I have not spoken to Simone, so I didn't ask her. I guess she talked to Abby, and Abby might have said, "Hey, you know, if you have any concerns, text Paula before the meeting." You know, which I told you in our session last week. If there's something that bothers you, whatever, text me, tell me, and I'll do my best to address and to bring up in a certain way. You know, whatever. But that was that. Like, there was no really like the agenda for this is going to be to talk about this, this, or that. You know, it's going to be more, let's say hi, let's introduce. This is a new thing for everybody. You know, even though everybody knows me, we've never done this in this kind of context. So let's set the ground. Yes, let's bring up some things that we need to address, I guess, now because of the change, making sure that we have the mindset for those changes and all of that. And then moving forward, we have a different take. I will have, I guess, a meeting with Abby about how to move forward. We're going to discuss a little bit, like, since she has that background too, we're going to discuss like what would be good for the team moving forward. You know, how many meetings, or if it's individuals, not individuals, just team, or team and individuals and stuff like that. So we're going to discuss that. That would be good if you guys in the call that you have today speak briefly about that, about the session yesterday, what each one of you thought about, and if you think it's beneficial moving forward, because hearing you guys is going to be very important for Abby to be able to make a decision, you know, make a decision to come up with a program together, you know, and then bring it up to you guys, the proposal, and see what you guys think to make the decision, you know. So I think, from my perspective, it went very well, because I guess everybody was able to speak. Everybody, I guess, was on the same page. And as I say, like, it feels like everybody is concerned, not concerned, but everybody is on board on knowing the changes and knowing that it's going to require a little bit of patience, a little bit of here and there to make it happen in the best way, you know, and everybody feel comfortable. Everybody's worried about everybody. That's all I know is, like, Abby is concerned from the beginning. Has been concerned about how Simone is going to feel, how you're going to feel, how relationship is going to be with Mario, and then Mario was concerned how Simone is going to feel, how you're going to feel, how Abby's going to feel, and then Simone was concerned about how things was going to be, and then how it's going to be the connection and relationship with everybody else. You know, what's going to, everybody's just like what's going to happen. It's not that big of a deal, but everybody's like concerned about how everything is going to turn out, you know, and how things are going to be moving forward, because nobody wants to step on anyone. Nobody wants to hurt anyone. Nobody wants to be misunderstood. Nobody want, you know, everybody's just like, how do we do it? What do I do it? And how to navigate this. And I think this is the biggest issues, because this is triggering for everyone, and then tackles a lot of the personal issues, you know, which has nothing to do with the business. It's just an internal trigger, an internal wound from the past that is being triggered and then now spilled onto the business. You know, so I think this is the most important, you know, that needs to be addressed. So I will suggest, you know, to have, I don't know, if 1 or 2 meetings, you know, for the team a month, and then still have a few hours per month for the individuals that who needs. I don't know if we will assign one per person, or we will assign a certain number, and then if you need, you will take that one of those numbers, you know, and then fill out the spots. I don't know. I'm going to suggest a few things to Abby. I have some things in, you know, in mind, and I want to, you know, bring it to the table. And of course, I'm bringing up to you because I think it's important as you, the partner, to be able to help in that decision, you know, and see, like, if you see the value, if you would like that to happen, and how you would like to happen, and then you could communicate in this meeting. I don't know, what time is it? It's at what time is the meeting that you guys have? 10, 11? I don't know. I don't remember what you guys were.
At 10:30.
Yeah, 10:30. Well, not 10 or 11, in the middle. 10:30. So you could also bring that up. If
Mhm.
at, for some reason the running whatever doesn't, make sure to do it. So by 1 o'clock, I have a meeting with Abby. Then I could discuss that with your guys. Already discussed that, previously, privately. It will be important, so I could know what to deliver. Okay.
Mhm.
What did you think?
I thought it went all right. I'll be honest, I was a little. I feel like sometimes I'm out the loop, if that makes sense.
The what?
Like out the loop.
Hmm.
Like I didn't really know coming into that what we were speaking about. Um, and then everyone was talking about concerns, and I was like, what are the concerns? And then if there are concerns, just say it. You know what I'm saying?
But I think that's an
Act.
issue
Yeah.
because I think every single session when I ask you, was anything okay? Everything okay? Oh, I don't even talk to them. I don't even, haven't even touched the subject with these people. I haven't even talked to Abby, or I haven't, so you've been, I think, more, I'm doing my thing kind of thing, like I'm doing my thing and continue to work. I feel like you're navigating this with less concerns than other people, you know,
Hmm.
and if there are concerns, you're like, oh, not that concerned, like it's not like that big of a deal that is really consuming you, you know.
Hmm.
For these other people, it is because those are the three parties that are being very affected. Mario is actually the one who is concerned about everything, how it's going to be moving forward, my image, if it's going to work, if it's going to be the right decision, if it's going to be, like what is going to, the changes are going to be. Then Abby is the fact that is like actually moving in, changing her complete life, changing the whole family, changing dynamics, entering a company that she's never worked for before, even though had contact with some people, but didn't really do any work for. So she needs to um perform, right? She needs to perform well. She needs to be accepted. So there's a lot of hard work for her to do right now. She wants people to like her. She wants people to welcome her. She wants people to understand that she has, the good intentions and wants to help and she's open to communication and whatever. So, and then Simone is the one who is like in the middle of the war, getting hit by all areas, not knowing what to do, not having the power to really do much, and not knowing where to run or what to say and how to behave, like to what point, what is my boundary here? Can I complain about this? Should I not complain about this? Should I just take this? But then it doesn't feel good to take this. Like she's like all over the place. And I think even though you are affected because you are the partner, you are not that involved with those dilemmas. Like you're pretty much well doing your own stuff. And it's just like, okay, the company's gonna go through those changes, it's gonna be good. We're gonna have meetings, things are gonna happen, and cool, you know. And but I think everybody's concerned about that, about the concerns that could come up, the concerns that already came up. They want to resolve the right way. And I think that's why Mario brought up that way. And I wanted to make sure that any concern that comes up could be discussed, communicated, it's really how it's going to be communicated. And sometimes we just have to understand that everybody's going to be on the same goal, working towards the same goal.
Hmm.
So then we could all be at peace to understand that if something happens with someone, I know that person I might be taking personal, but now it's my turn to do the self-reflection because I know that that person is on the same boat as me and trying to navigate to the same place. She has the good intention. So let me be more compassionate about maybe how she is behaving or delivering the message, or
Hmm.
understanding that the person is trying to do something for the best, for the better of the company, for bettering the company. So that's it, because a lot of the times when that's not spoken, people go straight to the autopilot and they take it personal and they get offended, then they get to raise resentment, and then that's it. Then the energy starts to be disrupted within the team, and that's when things is just like very hard to fix it after. So I was just trying to really lay the ground where it's okay to communicate, it's fine to be open, it's fine to have concerns, and it's fine that but as long as we understand that there's a common ground that we all are under and we all agree and we all holding hands. So now moving forward, it's like we all want to win this, but we don't operate the same way. So we have to understand. That is,
Hmm.
that was really why I did sense. I felt like you were feeling like, okay, what the fuck's happening here?
Yeah, that is how I was like, what is
But
going
But I
on?
had told you it's gonna be like to really be introduced. It's gonna be the first time. We don't know exactly how it's gonna go, but I'm gonna be open to people to say suggestions about things that needs to be improved in the company to run better, to whatever issues that people are seeing or things that could be could progress, could improve. I'll be open to discuss that, but mostly I'm gonna try to lay the ground on the foundation and the values of how we're gonna do this moving forward. And
Mhm.
that's why I was like, no, don't worry, didn't have there's no homework. There's nothing there to be done, that you had to have a proper. But if there is something, if there's something that comes to your mind, you could express it. If not, it's fine too. Abby didn't really send anything either. Like the only one that sent it was I had the meeting with Mario, and then Simone sent me the text. Abby throughout our sessions, she comments here and there, so I take notes. So I already knew, what, but there was nothing specific. It was all general, so things that I already go generally.
Mhm.
So there was no need for you to feel like, okay, what am I doing here? What do I have to say? Nobody
Yeah.
was expecting anything. But okay, so overall, you think it was okay? Did you get any message from that? What happened in your mind after that? How did you process that?
Honestly, nothing in my mind happened afterwards. But like you said, in the moment, I kind of was like, what are we like? Just get it out. If like if it's something that's we're talking about being addressed, like let's just spit it out. That's kind of how I was feeling. But I don't know if it was addressed or not. But it's
Well,
easier said than done.
no, I think for the first time, I was not, and that's what I told Mario. I don't want to have the first meeting with like, okay, guys, we have these issues here that we're gonna have to discuss and get a solution for. So let's start with this, and this is happening. Mario brought this concern. So what is your take on this? How we're gonna move forward? I was like, this is not how it's gonna go. My first meeting, I feel like I need to lay a foundation. We need to speak about having concerns, how to deal with concerns and how we're going to handle each other. And because there were already issues, between people or not understanding or feeling certain ways. So I'm like, I can't start something like that. So that was really just an overall. So we did tackle the part of like Simone was like, okay, a lot of stuff was thrown at me, and I'm like, it's not my department. So
Yeah.
that's why we were talking about that. That's why to you, maybe you feel like there was no really specific things because I was really trying to be general about how the company behaves, not necessarily an issue from Simone,
Hmm.
but huh?
No, now that you said it, now I remember someone saying that. But I'm very aware that issue exists, and I don't know how much has been revealed to you or whatever, right?
I
But
don't know much yet. I'm
yeah,
learning about you guys. It's new to me too.
so like in that situation, and again, I've never had a full conversation with Mario, but I observe comments he makes, right? And I just, again, I listen a lot, like I absorb it. So like 2 years ago, like he made this comment. He was like, I need this done. My operations, this is before Simone, my operations manager and my business partner. I think I had just become a partner. And he's like, my business partner should be addressing this. That's what he said. He said, my operations manager and my business partner should be addressing this. And in my mind, I was like, this task has nothing to do with them. What do you mean they should be addressing this? They're not like your personal assistant. So like, I think in his mind, he thinks everyone underneath him needs to just jump on stuff when he needs it done. That's and again, that's why I said managing expectations. Like that is the wrong expectation to have. Like your business partner isn't going to be taking care of tedious tasks
Yes.
that you need done, right? And I think without me fully outright saying it, I think he understands it more with me because I just give him like, without me saying it, I'm not doing this.
Boundary, yeah.
I'm like, I'm not doing that. Like, I don't, there's things I'll do for you if you need in an emergency, but like,
Yeah.
I'm not your assistant. So like, I have my own stuff, right? So like, I think he now got that with me, but like in his mind, I think that's how he thinks things should operate.
And that was the same thing, I guess, with Simone. But Simone is not as powerful as you to set boundaries, you know? So I think there is more fear. There is more like, and of course, she's a woman too. You are men to men. You know, it's a little different when you do woman to man, man to
Yeah.
woman. A little different dynamic. And also, she is an employee, so it's different, you know, than having the same power, you know, as a partner. Is different. So um, it's something that's been unspoken, I guess, for a while. And that's why I asked, you have an assistant? I know he has an assistant, but I want to just point out and ask, have him tell me, you know, and he, because that is a mind exercise too. When you are asked something, rather than me assuming and saying and knowing you have an assistant, so why don't you have her do it? It becomes more of like, okay, now I'm questioning you. And me bringing up, do you have an assistant? And then you say, yes, he does. And then Abby said, yes, he does. You know, and then he's like, yes, I do. You know, so it's just like, it's a confirmation for his brain to start processing. Yeah, I have an assistant. You know, like I don't need everybody else. I just need to prepare my assistant to work for me. Because
No,
if
but
I,
he thinks even like when we got our new assistant, he was like, Tim, that's your assistant. I'm keeping Simone as my assistant. And I was like, Simone's not your assistant. So like,
yeah, because he wants the one that is already prepared and ready. Because he
yeah.
just asked Simone and Simone knows. The new one takes time to train, takes time to get involved and know all the operations of the business. She doesn't know yet, you know,
Mhm.
but she's never gonna know if she's not doing the tasks to know. You know, she's
Mhm.
never gonna get prepared. And
So, and again, I don't know their day to day. But I always tell Simone, like, you have nothing to prove. You've proven yourself in the company. Like, so if you want to set boundaries, feel the freedom to do that. You're not at risk of losing your position. So I think to this day, if I was to make an assumption, he probably hasn't changed much since he made that comment. Like he's still trying to pull as much out of Simone as he can and have her in this position of PA slash operations manager, which Simone is constantly probably trying to fight. Like she's like, because that's the reason she used to be our PA.
mm,
I don't know if you knew that. She used to be, yeah. So I hired her as our assistant. That was her first job in the company.
job, okay.
And then she became operations manager when we retired the old operations manager. So, and Simone told me she wanted growth and she did not enjoy doing those tasks. Like she wanted something bigger for her life,
Yeah, of
which
course.
I understood because she's brilliant, right? Like, you
Yeah,
know,
smart.
she shouldn't be in that position. As much as I wanted her to still be my PA because she's that good, I
You
had to let
understand.
go
Yeah.
and elevate her because that's what she wanted for her life and that's what we needed to keep her on. But um I think he still treats her as PA,
Hmm.
which somebody needs to I try, but at the end of the day, he's a grown man and he needs to come to that on his own. But our PA is good right now. But our me and Mario's tasks are different. So I can't speak
Yeah.
for how she is with him because she's doing like personal stuff for him. I'm solely business stuff, like listings and opening houses and she does nothing personal for me. So
So see, that's why that was one of concern about the roles, you know. So this was something else that we got to address and be able to have Simone kind of organize that and have that structure and everybody could know about it. You know,
mhm,
he's going to become more aware since he's more visual. Maybe now having things on paper, he will be able to come to that conclusion himself and start addressing and adapting. And now that I know, I'll also bring up, you know, in sessions with him
mhm.
in a way
Tell
to,
you, but I'll tell you, again, which might be an issue. Um, and Abby might bridge that gap. Everyone is walks around scared to tell Mario anything. That's just the reality. And I'm talking about high up board directors, accountants, like Mario operates, and again, I love Mario, but in this company, he has created this culture of people being scared to tell him stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I tell him stuff, but not I do it like in a roundabout way for him to like to hear it. But you know, I think you'll continue to, and again, that's why I'm saying in the meeting, I was like, if there's concerns, just spit it out, just say it. But like people people seem scared to tell him stuff. I'm like,
Simone was very empowered yesterday, and she said it. She's like,
mm,
I don't like to be sent, and she referred to Mario, like send me things to do. They are not mine to do, you know,
mm,
and then I cannot do my job, or I'm like, what do I do? Like I have a role. And that's why he said like, well said, Simone. Okay, I understand you, so it's just like those things. Um, and I understand it's interesting because speaking to you guys individually, and then getting to know the company, and then getting to know the team dynamic. I understand now that you're saying this to everybody else is fearful of him. I've never even heard of the other components of the business, the director or whatever. But it ties very well with his upbringing. It ties very well with his like his history, right? And those things are important to know, because as Abby knows, like it's going to be very important that I can speak with people privately for two reasons. One, because we go deep into their personal issues and how that's spilling into the company, and also because there are people that are not going to want to address things as a group, and they're going to want to speak individually, and now figure out how to bring to the group in a general way so it could still be addressed,
mm,
and we shouldn't force people to have to speak up in a group setting once if they don't want to, and but there might still be things to be addressed, and they have to have the right to speak to someone at one point, even if it's individually, so we're gonna figure it out that to make sure it happens. And yes, and I was brought in literally because Abby's coming in.
mm,
I don't know the company yet. I've been focused, I've been like completely focused on the transition with Abby coming in, getting
mm,
people to be accepting of that, getting people to see the good in that. So my focus was not to see the company and start helping the company with the day-to-day stuff or the problems that had been already lingering there or future or whatever. No, I was hired to help transition Abby. And that's what I've done so far. And then lately, that's when Mario said, I think we should have a conversation with the team. Initially was going to be to just introduce Abby. And then it changed to let's resolve some concerns. So I'm like, okay, this is changing, right? This is evolving, this is changing. It's not the same thing that I was spoken to begin with.
mm,
So of course, to me, to come in and start really addressing issues in the company, not that I'm addressing anything, but I'm just really supporting the team to address and then just give feedbacks. um, I need to start learning more about the company, about more the dynamics.
mm,
It's very hard to jump into something, even though of course I'm going to come from a perspective of the human connection, and regardless it's going to work because it doesn't matter the topic. um, it's still going to be important for me to know the moving pieces, so I have a better general view to, even when I have to say something, I say something that is more aligned with what really is happening in the company, which is going to happen naturally, once we continue to work or to do, work together. I think I'll be more prepared for those meetings and support you guys into navigating the solutions of things, and then addressing also in a personal setting. Because if Mario has certain issues or people are afraid or whatever, I could address the way that he portrays himself, how he's going to communicate, or how he's going to, at the same time, not to agree or disagree, but in a way, there is a level of hierarchy that needs to be respected. And I know a lot of the times hierarchy comes with fear, people fearful of the power of someone. And that person that is in hierarchy sometimes do develop the type of behavior of like Mario is like very blunt sometimes. Like it's just boom, right? Or no, but da 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 boom, then done. Doesn't even open much to discussion. Like sometimes you just say something and that's the end of it. That's what
Mm,
it is. Moving on, next topic. You know, he doesn't want to hear anymore. You know, and I've already learned that dynamic, you know, doing our private sessions. And I have to be like, no, 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 we're gonna go back there. And then it's like, no, I think like, no, it's not. Like, listen, you said this. So many times I had to go back and address and cut him off on that, of him trying to cut me off. You know, I'm like, no, I'm the authority here. I get it that you own your business, that you are 65, you know, and whatever, but you hired me to be the authority, so I gotta be the authority, you know? And I get it that it's not easy to have that around because he doesn't have other people that has more authority, you know,
mm,
technically. So it's but that comes from the wound, that comes from all of that in the past. That knowing that now the dynamic, it's gonna be very important for me to bring this up to him. You know, because sometimes he's just the subconscious and how he deals with his life is just the autopilot what was already programmed, you know, and
mhm,
becoming aware of that, things could start changing, you know, because he definitely doesn't want people to lose respect for him. And he knows that somewhat that's how he built the respect from people, you know, and then people are fearful of him due to how he built that image of him,
mhm,
which is normal, you know, it's not, I don't think people see him as a mean guy, right? Like, or someone that is aggressive or
mhm. No, he's changed a lot since I got into the company. I think he used to be more aggressive. Now he's less.
mhm.
Uh, but his evolution has I've seen him from 9 years ago to now. It's different.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. He's becoming aware. Like I remember like our first sessions, he didn't know what was gonna be for some reason. I don't know. But then every session he was just like, oh, wow, I never thought about it that way. Oh wow, I didn't think about it. Oh really? Is that how you, oh, I didn't know that. Like he was very clueless on personal development, on human connections, emotions, how the brain works, like literally nothing systemic, like family stuff, patterns, nothing, 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 nothing. I had to connect all the dots, you know, like it was a lot of work, you know. So, and I know that that's when Abby was also saying like I definitely started changing. My dad started changing with me like 4 months ago, which was about the time that we started working, and he started to try to really do that and implement. It's like, let me try this. Let me start seeing this way, you know. So it was very positive, and that's one of the reasons why he said like, come to work with Abby because you did a lot for me. So I want you to. And it's not easy. Like he portrayed as like, oh my gosh, Abby's this person that's so hard to deal with, and I'm like, it's just your perspective and how you guys build the relationship. Is not that hard to deal with. You know, like she's an easy person to deal with. She has like a heart, a strong personality. She has a very strong masculine energy, you know, and that's why a lot of the times it might be hard with a relationship with men because she's not a man, you know. So it might have conflicts, but I was like seeing from outside, seeing the pieces, it's not that complicated. It's just managing the mindset of each one that is playing.
Mm,
That's interfering the most. You know, it's the perspective that is generated inside of each one's head. You know, that's his perspective created this expectation that doesn't exist, you know, and then, you know, it's just like kind of like tackling those things to be able to bring to a balance, you know, to move forward. So
mm.
it's good. And yes, I want to talk about you. I know it's important because you didn't really say much, and I did want to hear from you. I did want to kind of give the feedback, and have this exchange here about the meeting because we didn't have to do that. I didn't get to do that during the meeting. Um, because in one way I was like, I think it even made me feel uncomfortable, like when you were like so out of it. And I'm
Mhm.
like, I feel like I wanted to pull you aside to the private room and be like, okay, Tim, tell me what is going on in your head and let's address it. Let's go back to the room, you know.
Mhm.
But obviously I wasn't going to do that. But I'm very sensitive to the energy, so I'm feeling everybody. And it's just like, it gets challenging for me, but it's fine. And that's why I was like, I wanted to address that today. And I'm glad that you brought it up first because you're asking, like, what did you think about? I was like, good that you brought it up because I really wanted to talk about that too, because it has to do with your personal. And I wanted to maintain our sessions personal. And then whenever we figured out what's going to be for the company, and then we address the company stuff at the time of the company pay,
Mhm.
and then maintain our sessions as your personal, and doing only your work for you and all of that. And of course, that doesn't mean that we're not going to be able to, if something comes up, let's say you have a session for the business, but something personal came up and you have to address, it's fine. And then vice versa, if something comes up in the business and we have our personal session, you're like, hey, I really need to talk about what happened at work with this person.
Mhm.
Of course, but I want to just kind of like create this structure where this is this, this is that, and then we could still be flexible if anything happens. Um, Fair.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
All right. So, um, I'm gonna jump right to it because then we don't have that much time to. I don't know what time do you have to leave, but I could extend a little if you can. If not, I get it. So I don't want. I'm gonna go straight to the
I just
question. Huh?
I just have a 10:30. That's my earliest.
Okay, so you don't have that cutoff time like by
No.
9. Okay, so we could go up to like 9:15, 9:20. That's fine. Okay. Um, so anything in the personal life that you wanted to discuss before I go into my questions?
Um, some feedback on what, because I know that's going to come up.
Yep,
So I feel like this is going to be, it's not going to happen overnight.
I know. I've no.
Um, I have started to make a few changes to try and do better.
Okay.
So I've started leaving work earlier. I leave now, well, I've attempted to leave at like 4:30 so that I could get to the gym earlier. So that bumped me up to like 5:36-ish. And then now I'm getting home earlier. Um, I still have not stopped. After the gym, I do work because I feel like I have to work and clear some stuff out. But I have been getting to bed earlier, which is good. Um, so that's been my week. But something came up in my Instagram that seemed like it was very applicable to me. I don't know. Have you ever heard of high functioning anxiety?
Yep.
That when I saw that, I was like, I don't know if that has to be me. Because like if I'm sitting, and mind you, I'm usually alone here most of the time. 95% of the time I'm alone. If I'm just sitting here, my urge is to do work, is not to like cut on a movie or like if I have just sitting time, I do work. That's just kind of like my instinct. I don't know. And it feels almost uncomfortable if I'm just sitting doing nothing or doing something unproductive, if that makes sense.
Yes, it makes sense. And high functioning anxiety, it's um it's a name used for the lack of purpose and goal for people that are somewhat lost in where they're getting to.
Hmm.
So I would highly suggest you, yes, I can see that happening, but that is tied also to an emotional wound, which is self-worth. Are you making too much money for yourself? You think so?
Do I think I'm making too much money? No,
So you feel like not even close to what I deserve.
no,
So you're not.
no.
Okay. How,
Hold on. No, let me readdress your question. Sorry.
I have no idea how much you make, just so you know.
No, I'm
Okay?
saying, do you think who is the judge? Is it for me or you think for,
You. It's all you
okay, me personally,
side, like internally.
internally, I don't make what I want to make.
No, no, no. Not asking if you make what you want to make. It's not the question.
Yeah.
Do you feel somewhat that you're making too much money?
I think a lot of people,
I don't care about a lot of people. I care about you.
do I think I make too much money?
Hmm?
I don't think I make too much money.
You
Me
don't.
personally,
Okay. Did you have that much money growing up?
no.
Did you experience anybody having that much money growing up?
Yes.
Who?
My dad.
So your dad had that much money growing up
Yeah.
and you didn't have access to it because you said him, not you guys. So that means that you didn't have access to it.
I didn't benefit from it. No.
Okay. So now you're going after what your dad didn't give you.
What do you mean?
Exactly what I said.
You're saying I'm chasing I'm chasing what my dad didn't give to us?
Yeah. You've because you know he had that much money, but you don't know what it is like to have that much money because you knew but you didn't experience it.
Hmm.
And now you're having to experience it. That gets you closer to your dad. It almost feels like, okay, now I feel more loved by my dad because I'm experiencing what was lacking. At that time, I didn't experience all the wealth he had. He took that away from us, and it was supposed to be mine. So now I'm going after it to take it back. And so
I
now,
I don't think I would agree with that. If I was to unfold that, because that's the first I've ever heard that, um, I do feel some type of way that my dad made all that money and didn't take care of what he should have taken care of, if that makes sense. He was
you,
his
you
his
part of
whole
it.
his whole fam. I'm a part of it, but his.
Same stop. Let me stop you right here.
All right.
Your brain is trying to go places to continue to justify a lot of the dynamics that you've been building for yourself. And I'm
Hmm.
trying to cut corners. And I know cutting corners sometimes is not the best, but with you, I know I can.
Hmm.
So I won't let your brain try to convince me of a narrative that you're trying to convince me about. I'm
Hmm.
trying to cut that and go straight to your subconscious. And even though you're like, oh, I don't know if I could agree with that. I'm not asking you to agree. Take the information and just wonder, what if that is something that is happening? What if that is something that I have not yet touched within me? Because a lot of the stuff, I'm not here to tell you just what you know. I'm here to go beyond and shed some layers so we could see underneath it. The core is not going to be presented to you on your conscious mind because your conscious mind is only the narrative that was created to keep you safe from the core.
Hmm.
Your conscious mind is going to create narratives, justifications, and all of that so we don't go here. It's already all here. It's solved. I figured out. I know what it is. I know why. And I have all of this linked up and it's good. I'm inviting you to go here so this narrative doesn't continue to create your fake identity. Trying to go here so we could let go of something, see that it's not that bad, or see that if it was bad, now we have the capacity to handle it because we are adults and we have the support system, the mental capacity to go there, resolve it, and get rid of that fake identity and create your real identity and create a sustainable life that you're trying to create and be able to stop yourself from going crazy about work and linking your identity with your work and making that your validation process for the rest of your life.
Hmm.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not saying that you have to agree, that you have to think that that is true. I'm just asking you to listen, allow your mind to take in that information.
Hmm.
Don't feel, because I felt like right away you protected yourself. Like, no, I don't think I would agree with that, because it's just like there is still a resistance to, you know, especially with men. Men have that thing of like, I didn't need that. You know, he just had things that he had to do and he didn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's including you. Oh yeah, me, but all the no, but you. Let's stay here. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? Like your masculine brain is trying to always come up with the general, with the others, with the provider and the helper, the protector, right? So then I talk about always a lot of people. Masculine energy doesn't go too much into the me, I. And I'm here to invite you to do that you were not raised to do, and you were not, definitely not in your culture, not encouraged to do. You know, the opposite. The opposite is always like, stop crying, you're a man. Don't do that, you're a man. Why do I have to do that? Because you're a man. You know, like there's no really foundation to anything besides you're a man and suck it up. It is what it is. Just do it. Close that door, close those windows, focus and go. So then you bottle everything, create that identity to become that person that fulfills all these expectations about being the man. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just inviting you to be like, I'm seeing a pattern. I've been on the same topic for a few weeks. We've been talking about different things about this, linking with different situations, different, like your brain is slowly throwing out some hints to me. Every single session it throws some little hints that I'm picking up and I'm linking and I'm giving it back to you. This is what's happening. So I am just inviting you to be open to the idea that maybe I am here because our entire lives, when we are born, mom and dad, they become our heroes, our what is it called? Like our examples and who we, like, the first person we look at is mom and then dad, if dad is there. So right away, that's my first contact with the world. From then on, my contact with the world is gonna be through my mom and my dad.
Mm-hmm.
How I see, how I deal, how I feel about my mom and my dad is how I'm going to, I cannot look at the world without passing through my mom and my dad. They are constantly like mom and dad, eye to eye. Like, so my mom is in one eye, my dad is in another eye. So everything I look is going to be through my experience with them.
Mm-hmm.
That makes you pretty much the fact that I didn't deserve to have my dad's money, because that's how the child sees. It's not like my dad didn't want to give for whatever reason. I didn't deserve, period. I didn't deserve. I didn't receive is because I wasn't good enough to receive. But otherwise I would, right? I wasn't important enough to my dad. It wasn't, whatever it is, I was not given that abundance. And now I go after to fix what my dad couldn't do. So then I go after that feeling that that is what's going to make me feel loved, valued, and seen. And now, because I was lacking, what made me feel not worthy or not deserving was that I was missing out on that money. Now that I will make all the money in the world and that's going to fulfill me, that's going to make me feel more and more and more loved, more appreciated, more, you know, does that make, do you see the relation? Why that inner child developed that lack? And
Mm-hmm.
now growing up, you develop the resources to be like, I'm going to get that. You know, I'm going to fix that. Because all we want our entire lives is for us to be seen, loved, and cared for by our parents. So we say our entire life looking for that. It's in relationships, business, doesn't matter where it is, in drugs. We're constantly looking to fix the relationship with our parents. And your way to fix that is to now make so much money and enjoy so much that that gives you that deserving feeling. Yes, I am enough. I am worth it through how much money I'm making. Because that's how it was linked to me in my childhood. I was not good enough because I wasn't deserving of all that money. Now I'm fixing it by making so much money, and that money now makes me feel. See? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Are you following me?
I'm following you. The only part that I'm trying to understand if you're saying is that because what you're saying it's making sense. You said that the making money aspect is trying to
Fix.
fix or make up a relationship with ties to my dad. That's the only piece
Because
I'm kind of like, and again, I'm trying to just be
you
open and take it in, right? um I don't feel I have anything to prove to him. I don't feel like me making money is fixing any relationship with him. I don't feel that at all. But everything else that you're saying, I can see that it's going back there and it's driving me to do this. And it's almost fulfilling me by accomplishing that.
linked. The thing is that at that time, when you were that young, you linked money to worthiness.
Mm-hmm.
That's the whole point. And the father and mother, they're just illustrations of half and half of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So at that time, dad made you feel unworthy by not giving you, not sharing with you the wealth. So that lack, that link that you created, that money is linked to worthiness. So all we want is to feel good about ourselves, to feel validated and all of that. So how am I going to do this? Oh, I'm going to make so much money because now I'm going to fill in the gap of that lack that was created. Because dad didn't give me the money, and made me feel so unworthy. So now I'm going to make so much money. So then I can feel worthy. You linked that because all we want is to receive from dad and mom and what they have to give. Money is energy, so I didn't receive that kind of energy that he had so much and he didn't share with me. It's almost like there is a mother that she loves everybody. You could see how loving it is, but when it comes to you, she's mean. She doesn't treat you well. She doesn't care about you, and whatever. So you're going to experience love. You're going to see that the person is amazing and beautiful and love is great, but I didn't experience that. I just saw that. So I didn't deserve that because my mom had it, but she didn't give it to me. My mom,
Mm-hmm.
I could see that she had the love, that she was careful for everybody, but she didn't give it to me. So that means that I wasn't worthy of
Mm-hmm.
that love.
Got it.
So then that,
Do you mind if I share something? So
please.
so going back to this whole thing, because I don't think we've ever spoke about this. So it's not that he didn't give it to us. It's is that, and this is just my perspective of everything that happened. I was very young when he had it. I was like younger than 5, right? 5, 6 maybe. My dad to this day walks around and boasts about how much money he made, the good old days of being able to spend it on things and being on yachts and traveling with the prime minister. And it honestly like makes me cringe when I'm around him and he does this. Like it's cringy. Like it's like, what are you doing? Almost like, how are you even boasting about this? Because I think I've explained it to you. He doesn't have much money right now, right? So where was I getting at? Okay. So it wasn't the fact that it wasn't given to us. I feel like it was very selfishly spent. He had it and he spent it on himself.
Not enough. Not
Wait,
enough. Didn't give you enough. He
no.
spent on you, but to your point,
Yeah.
he didn't share enough as much as
He
he
didn't
could.
share enough. He didn't share enough.
Yes,
It
that's
was
what I'm saying.
more,
He didn't share enough. Stop saying, because I know we have to create the he, the they, the outside.
Mhm.
It doesn't exist. You felt that it was not shared enough.
Yes.
Because if he's shared enough or not, it's not on you to judge. He might say it was very well shared because he felt very deserving that he spent on himself, and that's pretty fair. If he feels like this, I'm making the money, I'm working, I'm doing this, and I want to have the boat, and I want to have the cars, and I want to have the nights and the restaurants, why wouldn't I have that? And I'll share everything else that is left, which maybe is not that much, but I'll share everything else. But first, me, you know. But for the child, that not sharing enough is still linked to unworthiness. Because if I was worthy enough, my dad would share more. So it
Mhm.
doesn't matter to you, to the child, it's still linked to the unworthiness of my dad, you know, because he was selfish. So that means that he had something that he didn't share enough. And he didn't share enough because others weren't worthy of receiving. But remember that there's no others.
What do you mean there's no others?
There's no others, it's always us. We just project people. I know sometimes it's hard for people to get it and understand, but we are okay. I don't know if I want to talk about this. I don't want to complicate things. Okay, let me not go there
But can
now.
I just add one more thing to what I said? When I said he didn't share enough, so like for an example, my mom paid for all of my school fees for my entire life, right? I didn't get nothing from my dad for school fees. Like I'm talking about to that extent. I'm not talking about like gifts or
Brand
I'm
things.
talking about essentials. So that's what I say. I'm not talking about sharing in fine things. I'm talking about the essentials. Food, housing.
So how, okay, you are contradicting yourself. Let me pause you there. Because you tell me, oh, I'm not saying that he didn't, hold on. I think I said it wrong. Like I'm not saying that he didn't, you know, share the money, you know, but he was sharing, you know, he was very selfish when he shared. And then you're telling me that he was not really covering the basics.
That's what I'm talking about.
So your mind is confused into how to even feel about it. Like it was not sharing enough, or he was not even covering the base. This is different because he wasn't sharing enough means that is beyond basic. He was
Mhm.
sharing the basics, but he wasn't sharing enough. He wasn't really giving me gifts or giving me, you
That's not
know,
what I'm saying. I'm not saying that.
okay.
I'm talking about basics.
But that's what I'm saying. Your mind told me that. So your mind, and it's interesting because even though we have those concepts about mom and dad, we're constantly trying to protect them.
Mhm.
So your mind is confused about protecting the man I love because he gave me the life and he's my dad and I love him. But I have all these issues with him growing up because he didn't make me feel a certain way. So I have this like back and forth. And that's exactly what you expose right now.
Mhm.
It's almost like you want me to blame him, but at the same time, he's not that bad. He's my dad and I love him and whatever. Hold on a minute. And then it's like, but, you know, it's like, do you see what you're doing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Eh, That's why I wanted to add that because I do that. I kind of like don't give you the full I don't say it bluntly because I still feel like protecting you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's what I'm talking about. It's not I'm talking about basics.
But that's what I'm saying. What you're doing, as always, is trying to protect so you don't go here.
Mhm.
Because if you stay with the reality of like, he doesn't cover the basics, then we gotta go here.
Mhm.
And when you come with like, but, you know, hold on a minute. It's not that he didn't share. It's just because he would used to spend it more selfishly. So he didn't share enough. So I go here. I get out of here. Like I was getting too close to here, but hold on a minute. Let me come back because I
Mhm.
don't want to go there. Because if we stay here on the not sharing, enough, the not giving the basics, now I can see that I did link my worthiness with the money that I didn't receive from him for the basics.
Mhm.
Basic needs are our first needs that we need to be met. And of course, we do expect that from the provider, from the man, not from a feminine energy,
Mm,
because the man is the one who provides, the woman multiplies. So it's just like when we have an inversion of that role, and now my mom is the one who has to provide, and my dad has it, but he doesn't give it. Now I feel like this complete imbalance where I feel we view the father, the love, the father gives love and all of that way more through service than through affection, per se, hugging, kissing. We expect that from the feminine energy. We receive that from the feminine energy, and then receive the service from, the technical service, the financial, the money, the provider's energy from the father. So that way make us complete.
mm,
And that completes us, and we have that full energy within us, because we all have feminine and masculine energy within us. But on a perspective of a masculine energy, that was lacking because he was not really doing his role. He was not really performing his role the correct way. And your mom had to pick up that task. So there is this kind of like resentment towards that, because you saw how much your mom in a way suffered, having to struggle and do all that for the family, when he had the capacity to ease her pain, to ease her life, and he didn't. So you have that child now has a conflict, because I love both.
mm,
It's being detrimental to her. So now I have this conflict within me. I love him, but I'm very resentful towards him. And now you grew up having that narrative where you don't know where to go, because you feel like you have a place that you have to love him, but then there's a place where it's like, but he didn't do what he needed to do, and I don't want to judge my dad, so I love him. But then I love him, but then how do I love him so much if he didn't love me enough? So you go like back and forth on that. And this is all happening on a 90% of your brain, because only 8 to 10% is conscious. So your narrative you tell me is a story you created to protect yours to be conscious, and bring to conscious only what makes you go on with life without being so interfered with that.
mm. Now we're hitting the nail on the head. So now I think we're now aligned in what we're saying.
Okay. So is that because that's exactly the same thing that I was saying before, but I think with what I said, I was unlocking certain areas of your brain so we could get there to
Mm,
the point where, all right, now it makes sense to me. Especially when it's a such subject about mom and dad, a lot of the time it's very hard for us to perceive the way it is, because there's a lot of blocks. You are going to have to go through a lot of like, blocks until I get to where we need to, because this is your brain doing that to protect you. So it's like, no, I don't agree, or I don't see that, or no, that's not how I feel. It's a lot of times like going against the narrative, the protection that you created. But
mm,
because you are consistent and you're like, no, hold on a minute, let me give you more information. I don't think we're talking about this. So things are coming up as I speak to you, gets triggered, you give me an information, then I give you feedback. So you see how the back and forth is helping you to kind of navigate like to, all right, got it. Now I understand. Now it makes sense. So now that you understand that, you can understand that that self-worth was linked to making so much money. Because now you give that to yourself that was not given to you as a child,
mm,
because it was not enough, not even for the basics or nothing. So to you, you're never going to be able to make money for the basics only. The way you were raised, the way you were built as a child, programmed, was not for that. So to you, you're going to go after, and it raises even more my concern now, because now I understand the deep rooted issue, that the reason why you can't stop and the reason why you're doing that, because you link to your dad was never with you. He made
mm,
a lot of money, and you don't know how much he was working to make the money, but all you know is that he wasn't present.
mm,
So now it's hard for you to be present, because you linked not only self-worth with the money, how much money you make and all of that abundance, but also with not being present. So anytime you stop and you're like, okay, now I could relax, you're like, no, but then I'm not going to make all the money in the world, and then I'm not going to feel fulfilled and feel worthy. So I have to work, because you linked all of that together.
mm,
So you were taught through the lack, how to receive the love that you want to receive or to feel, sorry, the love that you want to feel. Because when you were a child, you thought that that's how you're going to get it. If my dad gave the money, if my dad gave you the support for basics and everything, I would have felt loved. That is an illusion of the child, but
Hmm.
the child doesn't think cognitively. It's just feelings that interprets in a way that it's there, and of course interprets in a way of systemically. And that's why your dad also stays on top of, when I had the money, now I don't have it, but when I had them, why? Because he also linked worthiness with money,
Hmm.
passed down to you because he wasn't aware to stop that, and he ingrained that idea into your brain. And then if you have a child and you have to provide, and if you're also not present and you just give the money, he also going to link that with money. But then what happens is he might not make the money because he might accept the fact that he's not worthy enough. And what he's going to do, he's going to go for drugs and he's going to suck at life because he's going to feel like a victim the entire life and blame you for that. That is normally how it goes down in a family system, because I've watched it many times. I've studied that and I've watched it with my clients. So that is kind of like how it goes down generations, those wounds. It's
Sorry,
not that,
repeat the last thing you said. You said it's going, just
about,
repeat.
okay, let me start with your father also is doing that. Remember when you said like, it bothers me that he says of how much money he had, and what, because now he doesn't have it, but he had, and he was like in yacht and whatever, and he brags about it and whatever. It makes you cringe because of course that triggers your pain, that he was doing all of that and you were not experiencing that, and mom was working her ass off, not
Mhm.
giving you the basics, and now he brags about that right in front of me. What are you thinking? What are you doing? So
Yeah.
it triggers all of this pain within you that you don't even know how to process or what it is. It just makes you feel uncomfortable, that he says those things. But now I'm giving you what it is,
Mhm.
why is happening with you. And then when he comes with all of this, because he brags about it and talks about it like that, also makes me understand that that's a pain that he carries from also his parents, that
Mhm.
links the money with the worthiness. So he always has to go back to the past, because in the past I had it. So that's where he wants to stay the most, because that's when he felt the best, because he linked to the money, that worthiness. And then he transferred that to you, of course, with his behavior of being away and not paying the basics. He transferred that wound to you. Now, if you have a child and you think that I'm a provider, I have to make so much money and whatever, and also not present because you're working all day, because you're on the phone on the weekends, because I have to talk to this person, I have to tell that, I have to go to this showing, the I haves, which is not you choose, choices.
Mhm.
If you also do that, you're going to pass the same wound to your child. And that is the family constellation that's passing down generations, the same wound when we are not aware of them.
Mhm.
Now, it's even more important now, and I'm more even concerned now to do the work where you got to stop. You got to give yourself that break. You got to be okay watching TV. You got to be okay going out with your friend without finishing the work and leaving it for tomorrow. Because those things are going to set the boundaries and create a new neural pathway in your brain, and no longer operate from that old operating system from the wound that you carry. You're retraining yourself. You're trained for something, and now you got to retrain yourself so you don't pass that down generations. Because it's not that the next generation is also going to be successful like you. That is not a constant. The next generation might interpret the lack of love completely different and go right to the hole, and go completely opposite and not be able to make money ever, because it's always going to be a confirmation that he's not good enough, that he's not good enough. That's why I don't make money, because I link with worthiness, and I'm not worthy because my dad taught me that I'm not worthy. Because I'm not worthy of the time and to be close to that. So I will always constantly try to achieve my dad's love by working so hard and not having it because I didn't have him.
Mhm.
So that's what's going to mean. That's like boom, boom. And his whole life is going to be frustrated for not making money like that. And then confirming that he's not loved enough by that.
Got
Now,
it. What was the part that you said about the drug at people becoming
it
drug
takes
addicts?
It's that. It's always trying to fulfill the lack from mom and dad. Drugs is always related to that.
Mm.
Addiction. Any addiction go back to the one of the parents. Something that was missing and I get fulfilled by the feelings or whatever it is about the drug that I'm getting. It is
Mhm.
still feeding the inner child. And then you don't think, you numb yourself. You don't, it's all a protection mechanism and trying to compensate. It's compensation and protection at the same time, the drugs.
Mhm.
So then, yeah, you could have someone who's higher cheap like you, but go into mental illness when you grow older. Because once you get so disconnected with yourself for so long, at one point, you will start to have mental illness too, as a consequence of that lack of self support. And that is the problem. There's a
Mm.
lot of people that have Alzheimer's after that because didn't really have the self purpose. So the brain starts to just glitch. You don't remember, you don't know, because I know that is really important. So then it's a big pain that causes because you neglected your soul for too long. Because you were just on the doing, getting validation, got addicted to that. It's a work addiction. It's another addiction. It's the same thing. It's you trying to compensate for your childhood, all the drama that you had with your father. Of course, you saw your mother suffer because of money and having to work hard and not having time for herself. So you saw that that is a type of love. That's how I love and feel loved, is if I work hard, if I deliver, da, da, da. But then I also have to go after the wealth that I didn't experience with my dad. So that links both of them together and makes you the workaholic that you are and not being able to really take care of yourself. You've only experienced someone wealthy and distant, and the other one working as off and upset. All of them cause pain. So you distance yourself from that. I don't want to touch that because both of them are painful for me. So you become unaware, you become like numb to it, and I'm gonna focus and get addiction, and then I'm not gonna even think about it. And life is good. Life is good for a period of time while you're still in that game. But there is a consequence to that to the soul when you're not aware and you don't watch the pattern that you're following.
Mhm. Yeah.
I'm gonna highly recommend you to rewatch this session.
Yeah, no, we tapped in. We tapped in the last 20 minutes for sure into something for sure.
Yeah. So I think, and that's why I said to you, like, I'm not gonna drop it. When I said like it's like every week, I'm like, nope, I'm still working late. Nope, I'm still doing this. No, I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna drop it. We're gonna continue because we're gonna have to figure this out. We can't just move, okay, well, we'll keep trying. Let's move to the next topic. It's not gonna happen. Because when I see that there is a blockage, that's when we have to really continue. Might sound tedious sometimes, or it's just like, oh my gosh, here she comes again asking the same question I already told. No, I don't care. We're going to stress that topic until we find the root of it so we could get rid of it.
Hmm.
I get rid of it because it's not the right thing, because we don't do rejections. We embrace it and we address it and we overcome it, right? We transmute it. So it's important that you start to bring awareness to that. And it starts to say, I know that this is how you were able to love me. This is how you were able to love me. But that's not how I see love anymore. I create love my way. You have to start detaching yourself from their story, from the programming. And when you think about that, you look, you could close your eyes and imagine your dad in front of you and you tell him, thank you, dad. I understand that's the way you knew how to love me. And thanks, mom. I know that's the way that you knew how to love me. I'll take all the love you guys gave me and I'll create my own. I accept the love you gave me, the way you gave me. Because what we do, your behavior is the rejection of the love they gave you. Because you're trying to fix it, fix it, fix it. And I was like, I'm not trying to fix it anymore. I accept the way you gave me. I know that's how you could have given me. So I accept the love you gave me the way you did. I accept the love you gave me the way you did. And now I get to, with this ingredients, create my own. And then you start to give yourself the right and the opportunity to do something different rather than repeating the patterns. And then whenever you get into the moment of like, ooh, I have to do the work and whatever, yeah, I have a choice. I could either reinforce the pattern, the addiction, or I could start creating the neural pathways and start stopping this. Because when it comes to have a child, this is gonna weigh you down a lot. Because now you're gonna feel, well, we always feel responsible, right? And you're going to see the signs.
Because when I have a child, that's super important to me. It's like not passing on bad energy and traumas or habits to my kids.
We will always pass something because obviously we are who we are. But I think I've mentioned it to you about the torch.
Mhm.
Remember that we talked about that, or we didn't? I don't remember.
Yeah, we did.
Okay, so you're gonna pass the torch to your child, you know, and then the torch is gonna go to your child the way that you build the torch. You could build with less wounds, or you could just pass just the way it is, and then he's gonna have to deal with it. And we don't know how he's gonna deal with it. And he might pass down to his child the same way, or he might decide to change as well. And this is how we evolve as humankind. Every generation could do better. They do it or they don't. Even when we think that they don't, because when drugs, whatever, whatever, the next generation or people around will see and it will try to bring balance somehow because we'll watch. You know, so it's just like it's always an opportunity. And it is a pain point for you that you cannot take care of yourself. You know, like, oh, I don't sleep good. Oh well, it's normal. I'm working a lot. I'm young. I'll have time. I'll have enough time to sleep when I'm old, right? There's a lot of people say that. Not time to sleep right now. Gotta work. But you people don't understand how they are training their brain and then stopping later. You're either gonna stop because of a disease or you're gonna stop and feel like shit because you actually didn't enjoy, or you will have some damages, mental, physical, and whatever, due to the whole how you conducted your life on a day to day.
Mhm.
Every action there's a reaction. Every action there's a reaction. Has a reaction. So we have to think about that. So every single day of me not sleeping is gonna have a reaction of something. It has already in a day to day. And that's why people nowadays do what? Oh, I'll take Adderall. Oh, I'll take this pill to sleep. I'll take this pill to stay awake. I'll drink the coffee. I'll drink coffee in the morning, in the afternoon, and then whatever. Because you're always having to add external factors now to keep you moving. Because you're not sustaining that. You're not giving it to yourself. Your body will never naturally do that alone. So that there's something wrong there. If my body is supposed to have the capacity to support this. And if it doesn't, it's because I am not giving the proper care for my body to perform. And I have to add those extra things, you know. So be attentive to that. Be aware of the dynamic with your father and your mother, how you took all of that information to become who you are today, to continue to fix all of that that happened. You're making the money because obviously you never would like your mom to ever suffer again because you saw the lack was not a good thing. It made your mom struggle. And also you're going to make as much money as you can because it was taken away from you from your dad. It was available but not given. So then you get to be like, fuck you, dad. I'm going to have all the money in the world to have whatever the fuck I have want that you didn't give me. And excuse my French because that's the attitude that you're going to have.
Oh, you're fine.
You know, because it is the attitude
Hmm.
toward it is a fuck you attitude. I'm gonna have all the money that you don't have, and now I choose to give it to you, and now I feel superior because you didn't give me when you had it, but watch me have it and still give it to you. It's almost like a slap in the face for him,
Hmm.
you know. So there is that dynamic that we are not really aware of because it's very ingrained in our subconscious. But just so you keep remembering, it's 90%. 90% of what drives you to do things is the memories, is what you was programmed for, was your experience. Only 8% is what you're actually aware of. And normally the 8% is about being able to coordinate and do things that are happening now, like picking up my phone to, oh, I have to call this person. It's your conscious mind.
Mm-hmm.
Your conscious mind is already being taken up by daily tasks that you have to do, that it's not memorized. So it leaves very little room for you to be really conscious of what you're doing in the pattern world, like realm. And that's why, of course, personal development, psychology, whatever, one-on-one sessions and things like that is good, because then you get to reflect, you get someone to be able to navigate this with you, bring awareness, and then generate changes and bring things better to the conscious mind to be resolved. And free room, because now the room is full on the 90%. Now, when we address certain things, that gets it released some room from there. So you could now implement, like, throw to the subconscious newer things that actually work for you. That same thing I think I told you about the driving. The first time we drive, we attend to every single detail. We have to look at the mirror. We have to, when you do the stick thing, you have to make sure that you do that and press the pedal, look, put your turn signal on, and every single thing you have to pay attention to, because you're still getting used to the idea of what is it that I need to do.
Mm-hmm.
Why, when you learn, you could be on the phone, eat. I used to eat, be on the phone, put my makeup on, change my clothes while driving, going from work to work. Why? Because my subconscious already got it, because I did that repetition of driving so many times that I threw that information from my conscious mind through the subconscious. That's what always happens. The conscious mind pick up the information. The more we do with the conscious mind is like, okay, we are not so big. So since we're repeating this over and over again, now I could throw that task to the subconscious, and I could now free room to do other things new. So this is how you get programmed all the time, is by repetition. Then the subconscious get it and be like, okay, got it. We've done it enough. I'll take care of it. And the conscious mind needs to free up room for the new things. No? So now, as you start to repeat the new pattern of taking care of yourself, of stopping yourself and being, no, I'm not doing this. I'm going to relax and I'm going to deal with the discomfort. Is it uncomfortable? Yeah, but I'm going to deal with it, because I'm not going to settle for this anymore. I'm not going to give in to this anymore. And I'm going to I'm going to do whatever I need to feel good, taking care of myself, having the time, and starting to create the self-love in a different way. Then if I do that over and over again, your conscious mind is going to be like, okay, we've been wasting too much time on the same thing that we've been doing over and over. Let me throw this to the subconscious. So now you become a subconscious thing where you're not even noticing anymore that you're taking the good care of for yourself, because it became your new norm. But it has to start from the new, because you're not used to it. So you have to start somewhere, develop the consistency to become a habit. Habits are always from the subconscious. It's what you already trained enough now became a habit. Eating habits, exercise habits, all of these are habits that you do enough and then you throw it to the subconscious and it becomes a habit. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Makes a lot of sense.
All right. Okay. I would really recommend you to watch this session again. Take notes if you have to while watching it. Writing things, journaling. How, if you become uncomfortable by stopping, journal about it. What is making you feel uncomfortable? Maybe you will be remember that I said the narratives that you tell yourself. Oh, because if I don't give it back to them, because normally here, and you start to explain to me the real estate. People have so many people involved. This is all manifestation, and literally, even though they are facts, it's your subconscious, your programming manifesting those facts to justify why you're gonna do it. But that is just to reinforce what you have inside of you. if you didn't have that urge and that need inside of you, the lack inside of you, you would be the person who would be, hell no. No, 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 no. As there are people who have other type of wounds, and they will really draw the line, and they have no problem answer you next week. As you experience that. Oh, there are people that are so nonchalant about things. They answer whenever they want, they give the paper back, whatever. They have other kind of wounds. But we focus on yours. But just so you know that all of this is narrative that you're telling to justify the wound that you have, and that you have to keep reinforcing it. But we now got to stop reinforcing it. So those narratives and justifications, they have to stop, because now we have something bigger to look at, which is the core of it. Why I created this dynamic, because there's a core to it. There's a wound here, and I had to create this pattern, this behavior to continue to justify what's in my core. Core memories, okay? How your core, soul core memories. Because your soul core is different. It's light and it's love, doesn't need the money. So I want to make sure that we have addressed the difference. Okay. We're good?
We're good. Last question. So this high functioning anxiety thing, applicable or not applicable?
It is, but it's also, it's a byproduct of the wound you carry. It's a name that we call because I've developed that due to the core memory I have, and I've been operating under this core memory. Then of course I developed certain mental imbalances, which is high functioning anxiety is a mental imbalance. So I create those based on this. So it's a byproduct of that core memory. So if we tackle that, now I am indirectly working on that high functioning anxiety. The high functioning only exists because I had a demand on myself due to an emotional wound I carry that I'm trying to protect myself from. So I developed that identity, that personality, so I can overcome that, or I can protect myself from that. So you only perform that way because of this wound that you have. That's why I wasn't too much on top of it, because at the end of the day, it's almost like you're telling me, I have a headache. And then you tell me all your history of not drinking water, not sleeping well, and whatever, and the concerns and worries and all the stress that's happening in your life. And then you ask, but what about my headache? No, hold on. We have to start drinking water. Let's look at all the stress factors in your life. Let's solve that. No, but what about my headache? Okay, go back, because this is a byproduct. The headache is just a message that there's something wrong in the core memory. High functioning anxiety is a message that there's something happening in your core memory. Does that make sense now, the analogy?
Yeah, no, for sure. One thing, if you could jot it down, that I want to touch on that we didn't dive into, we don't have time. There is this dynamic that you're talking about, is like, love my dad, try to protect him, but has that resentment because of that not providing a basic need to me as a kid. You mentioned it, but we didn't dive into it. But that is my constant relationship with him, like in public, when his friends are around, like they know it's something weird there, and it is like people can't put their finger on it. Even Mario, like we were talking about it, and he's like, I know it's something there, but he can't put his finger on it. Is because I live this life of like knowing I have that feeling that goes back to that root. Now that we spoke about it, it's like clearer in my head. It's like I still hold on to that, but I live life still protecting. Like a lot of people don't know that he did that. You know what I'm saying?
Your father. We do that, but that's why to me it's important to do that exercise, to close your eyes, imagine him in front of you, and say that you do accept the love he gave you. And do
Mhm.
you understand that he is that's what was possible to him at that time? For whatever reason, maturity, conscious level, doesn't matter. At that time, that what was possible for him to give. So then
Mhm.
you look at him and you say, I missed you, as a child. I was only a child. I needed you. I missed you. But I do understand that that's what you were capable of doing at that time. So I'll take it. I'll receive the love you gave me. And
Mhm.
same thing for mom. And then you say to yourself, now I get this full-heartedly and I'll create my own. That's when you start to really release your dad from that burden. Like not for him, because it doesn't matter. For you to not be attached to that anymore, because that is detrimental to you. That
Mhm.
mind is detrimental to you. So then you start addressing this. I will tell you, do it every single day. Every single day, do this exercise. Morning, at night, if you can. Start doing it and doing it. And that's just going to start releasing the energy that is entangled. And it will bring a lot more of like compassion and forgiveness towards you and him. Towards you, because what happens is that over time, because you believe that, you were detrimental to yourself because you believed the unworthiness. So you didn't take care of yourself. So that becomes a resentment towards him and you.
Mhm.
Then when you start doing this work, you start releasing both of you from that. And now you could create different and start being more sustainable with your life.
Mhm.
That's why this work is important. This exercise, I didn't have to dive in because I've already given you what to do to fix it.
Mhm.
So just be attentive to those things, the dynamics, journal if you can't right now, because it's like we hit like a milestone right now. Today was like a very important session that was like, ooh, like it divides the waters kind of thing. It's just like it's a level of consciousness that you were not really open to, but then became open to and now understands. And now it's like, okay, now I could work on this. So then you could journal whatever emotions come up, memories, thoughts, feelings. Make sure to note them, put them down on a paper so you don't lose them. So you don't, because the information might come. Now that you open that, the brain might bring up other memories, might bring up other situations, or you might experience in your external world some things about that is going to relate to that. Make sure to take notes, make sure to write down, so you really doing the work to overcome this. Because most of the time what's going to happen is something happens, a memory of a feeling or a situation, and you're like, oh, but I was too busy to write down. That's your brain trying to shut down and not let you do the work, the internal work. It's like, oh, I didn't have time to write it down. See that as you protecting yourself from healing.
Mhm.
But healing is the goal. So we have to identify that my body is trying to protect me from going there, but going there is the only way that I can heal. So then if something happens, I'm going to write it down. And if I have no time, I'm going to make time, because this is the most important part right now of my life, is for me to resolve this wound, overcome this so I could become stronger myself and no longer need the money to feel seen and validated, but enjoy the money without that wound linked to the money. Otherwise, you're going to become a prisoner of the money, and that's going to suck.
Mhm.
And also because you're going to feel that all that money that I have to make, I have to work hard for. Remember that when you were a child, being you wasn't enough. Your dad didn't give you the money by being just you, just the son. So to you, you feel like you needed the attention by showing up more, doing more, and hiding your feelings, hiding your pain, being a pleasant person, because you want to show up to be good, to be worthy of the money. So that is the other pattern you created. And that's why you have to people please. You have to make sure you deliver. You have to make sure people are satisfied with your performance, because that's how you feel worthy of the money. So that's how you generate the money. I work hard, I show up, I do all this, and then boom, the money. I work harder, boom, the money, you know, because that's how you feel like it was necessary to do when you were a child, to make the money, to feel worthy, to connect all of this together.
Hmm.
So then I have to work, work, work. That's why I asked you in the beginning, do you think you make a lot of money? Because a lot of the times that is linked to that. You know, like for me to feel worthy of making so much money and wanting to make more, I gotta continue to hustle.
So what would the difference have been if I would have felt yes?
Huh?
Remember
What?
you asked me the question, you said, do I think I make too much money?
Yeah,
I said no. But what
yeah.
would the difference have been if I said yes?
It justifies a lot of what your behaviors right now because that's why you have to work so hard and it's hard for you to shut off because it's all linked. So if I feel like I make a lot of money, then that means that I have to work a lot to justify making so much money and also to be able to make more money because I feel like that's connected to that. Making more money, it has to do with me performing more, doing more, delivering more. And I feel like the more I do, the more money I'm going to make. It's a wrong concept. It's an illusion. It comes
I
from a
don't I don't think I think that way. I actually would prefer to make more doing less.
prefer is not the word, want is not what we are talking about. This is all from conscious mind. We're not talking about conscious mind. Conscious mind is want and prefer.
Hmm.
Subconscious mind is what I have programmed, and this is what I'm going to operate. So that's
Hmm.
why there's always a frustration. I want this, but I don't get it. I want that, but I don't have it. I want that love, but I can't experience because the want and desires from the conscious mind, because now I watched movies, I saw people. So of course my conscious mind already saw the contrast of what is out there to what I've experienced.
Hmm.
Like 90%, the way I operate and the way I react, the way the energy that I throw off is always of what was programmed. So what was our program was that experience of not having the healthy relationship. So now I have the contrast from conscious mind and what's out there to what I experienced and was programmed to perform as. My computer system, my operating system can only deliver this at this point. So I have to update the computer system to operate differently.
Hmm.
So even though you tell me, no, I want to work, of course, nobody ever is going to say different. Nobody's ever going to say, yeah, I want to work a lot more because I want to make a lot of money. They say, I have to work a lot more to make a lot of money, but I wish I didn't have to. That's their programming. And then the same thing you're saying, well, I want to work less and make a lot of money. Yeah, you want that for sure. You and 100% of the population that have the same mindset would not want to kill themselves for money, want to make money without working so much. But your
Hmm.
program was not built that way. So you have that conflict, thinking that you're going to work, work, work hard, 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 so much, so much, so much, make so much money, and then eventually you're not going to have to work so much more. But it's never going to be enough for you if you do not address the wound. You're going to create more and more expectations about the money. You're going to have the boat, the car, the trips, the airplane, and whatever. And you're going to feel like now I need the house everywhere in the world. So now I have to work harder because my goal now is to actually have a house that I could go to in 5 different countries. And now I have 2, 3, 4 kids, and I want all of them to have this, this, and this, and that. So I have to work more. You're always going to find a justification to keep the wound going and justifying that you have to work hard, hard, hard to make more and more money. That is a trick of the brain. A lot of the times, the brain is going to trick you to stay in the wound and continue to justify and continue to interact with the wounded mind. Do you understand that part?
Yeah, I understand it.
Okay. Cool. I'm going to let you go. That was me procrastinating on my own work because I have a lot to do, but I like this talk a lot. So if I could, I would stay doing this all day, but I can't because I have to because I also don't want to work as hard to make money. So I have to do certain things now so I could create the foundation so I could generate the money I want without having to be constantly here and working. Because if I'm not here in front of you, I'm not making money. And that's not how I want to operate. Because I want to be able to have a life where I can live and being supported. Because that's also a belief system that I have on my programming and I've already identified. So
You want passive income.
yes, of course. I really want passive income. I haven't figured out how I'm going to do that yet, but I'm working on it. So that's what needs to happen because as much as I love doing this, it gets to a point that there's only so much I can make because there's only so much of me and time for me to do this, you know? So we all have our things, we all have our, mindset. And of course, I went way over time because of that, because I know deep inside that there's a part of me that is trying to reinforce the old patterns and I'm trying to free myself from them, So I'm no different. I just have awareness, and I'm sharing, but I'm also working on my own stuff, So I'm human.
Yeah,
Still
we
human.
all are. We all are.
Exactly. So good. Please re-listen to parts of. I know that since this is a scheduled meeting, you will receive the recording right away. I don't have to send you manually. So go over it. The parts like there's the notes. You could click on the note specifically and you'll go to that part of the video. You don't have to watch the whole thing again if you don't want to, but at least if you click on the note and watch some parts of it, I think it's already good enough.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
If you have any questions, any notes, anything that you write down, the journaling and all of that, I would really like to for you to share next time we meet.
All
Okay?
right.
All
Cool.
right. So
All
I'll
right.
talk soon. Have a great weekend. See you next week, actually. Okay?
Okay. Thanks.
Welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye. Have a good week.